Yeah, I wanted to ask you, man, like, first of all, how did you get into, obviously, just martial arts in general? Where did you start?
Oh, fuck. Maybe I have a vivid memory. When I can't remember how old I was, probably about 8. My dad came home late and was like, "I have to show you all something." And then me and my brothers were sitting in the living room in our house in Italy, and then he came out of the bedroom wearing a karate suit.
Fucking hell.
He's a big dude, had a big belly on him. He had this big karate suit with a white belt. And he's like, "We're all starting karate," because one of his workmates was a karate instructor in Yokai, and yeah, he started bringing us down there. So that was my first way I started martial arts, and then I got right into watching all the martial arts movies after that because I was a straight up ninja.
That's actually a hilarious segue into how you sort of ended up where you ended up, hey?
And I
Because
was very
obviously,
young, and it's a very vivid memory of him coming out that karate suit, and I was just been like, "Whoa!"
because obviously it's you, Rob, and Pete, hey?
Yeah. Because Bob was actually the oldest brother. He was right into karate for years and years and years. But then me and Peter sort of are the ones that sort of carried it through. And the older one doesn't do much training anymore.
Yeah. So obviously from there, you and Pete would have went to wrestling next, or was it striking you sort of went into?
Oh, I did a little bit of kickboxing with Billy Seth in at Herb Graham in Mirrabooka
Yep.
when I was probably maybe 13, 14. Had a friend drag me down there and I started doing it. And, that was my first foray into the fact that potentially my karate skills weren't as useful as I thought they were.
Yeah.
That was when Mitchell Seth, who's a fantastic kickboxer, was probably 5 years old. Yeah, I met a few people in the industry. I don't know if you know Tino Lino. He was down there at Bill Seth's, and it was just, yeah, and it was a Herb Graham where Amma was before Amma even existed. So that
Was it
was going
downstairs
back.
there?
Yeah, downstairs in the
Gym
in that
area.
kind of room that ended up being like a bit of a church or
Oh,
whatever.
yes. Yeah. That front room there. Yeah.
That front room, yeah. So we know it well. So yeah, that was pretty rad. So I did that, and then I did Brazilian Jiu Jitsu very very early on when maybe I was 17 or something. Justin Boylan had a Brazilian Jiu Jitsu gym in Malaga,
Yep.
and again, this was my dad again because he met some guys. Um, at the shooting range who were doing arnis, like stick fighting.
Yep.
And he thought, oh, that sounds cool. So he started doing stick fighting, and then he brought me and my older brother down to do jiu-jitsu with Justin. I think Justin was like a blue belt then, and there was very few blue belts around. And but unfortunately, we only did very limited amount of it. But I did have a taste of it, and then we heard that there was wrestling in Claremont, and we thought it was me. This was me and Peter, my younger brother, and we thought it would be like professional wrestling.
Yep.
And because we're all like pretty big WWE fans, so we went down to wrestling in Claremont, and it wasn't professional wrestling, but we still enjoyed it. We used to like it was a massive trip for us from Balladura to Claremont back in those days. Like we'd usually end up like filling the car up with a few neighborhood kids and drive down, and we'd probably only go once every second Friday. But yeah, that's how we started getting into the freestyle wrestling.
Yeah. Cool. So then obviously, yeah, you and Pete sort of stuck with that. And when did MMA sort of come about? When was that sort of first thought sort of coming into your head?
Oh, geez, you're delving right into my past now. Okay, so when after I did a little bit of wrestling, I pretty much turned 18, and then it's all about clubbing and what my fitness goals then became like getting massive and buff, right?
Yeah.
So I was like lifted a whole bunch of weights and not really doing any martial arts training or any fight training or anything like that. Um, Let me think. How did this start? But again, my dad had a friend Ben. This is when so from the time I was 18 to about 22, there was no kind of fight training or anything like that. But when a friend of my dad's, I was probably about 22, he started doing jiu-jitsu in Joondalup at for what was the gym called? Can't remember. There's a guy Mike. Oh, I feel bad now. I don't remember his name. Connell Sinclair was there, if you remember Connell. Adam Wyatt was there. Tino Lena was there as well. And the instructor was Jason Gotch, and then very briefly, and then it was Trent Payne. I don't know if you ever met Trent Payne. He's a black belt now. He opened a gym called Academia or something, but I don't know what happened to him. So he was the instructor, and I started going down to jiu-jitsu because my dad's friend Ben didn't want to go by himself. And I was going to uni in Joondalup, and it was in Joondalup, so it was close to uni at the time. Anyway, because I was super strong for lifting weights and I'd done a little bit of wrestling and jiu-jitsu in the past, I was like, oh, man, I'm really good at jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
So, because I was pretty much training with white belts, and then Trent, who was a blue belt, but, I was like, oh, well, he can kick my ass, but that doesn't count because he's like a magical blue belt, you know what I mean? And then, so I started doing jiu-jitsu, and I started getting right into that, and I was still lifting heaps of weights and stuff like that. And then I remember the thing that made me really get into jiu-jitsu was there was a guy called Brendan at Submission Factory, because I went to high school. This is getting into the past a lot. I went to high school with Lee Berger.
Yeah.
And we used to lift weights together in Malaga at the time as well. And then so he found out that I'd started jiu-jitsu, even though we'd always sort of talked about bits and pieces. I think he started boxing for a while, and we used to do a little bit of training upstairs at the weights gym. Like, we put the mats out and get carpet burns and stuff like that. And he found out I was doing jiu-jitsu, and he was like, oh, come down to my gym for a roll. So I went to Submission Factory, and I rolled with the guy Brendan, and he was a purple belt. And he played hooks guard, which is like no one had ever heard of at this time. And he just completely obliterated me. I remember feeling like I just couldn't do anything. I couldn't even use power, like spaz out on him, because he was just like chopping me so bad. And then I was like, oh man, I want to be like that guy. And that's when I really got into jiu-jitsu. And then the MMA started like not too long after that, because I ended up taking over a jiu-jitsu school as well, accidentally. So basically, the gym that we were training at in Joondalup, we just organised Jogo, who's currently the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu coach at my gym. So we've got this black belt coming from Brazil, and then he's nearly there. He's literally organised to come over, and just as he's about to come over, the owner of the gym, Mike Holmes, his name was, the owner of the gym's like, oh yeah, sorry guys, we are closing the gym. And Jogo was already organised to come, and he'd be sent over by Cardu, who was another Brazilian that was here for a little while before, and he was a really good little guy to have around and show me some cool stuff. And then I think me and Connell Sinclair were like, oh, we'll try and keep the gym going, because we had like a good little jiu-jitsu crew, and then we were going to have Jogo come over and coach. And then there was a guy, Darren or something, had a little Thai boxing gym in Joondalup, and we rented mat space off him. So we kept our little jiu-jitsu club going with Jogo as the instructor for a little while, even though I just got a blue belt at that stage myself, because Jogo brought it with him from Brazil. So as a blue belt, I sort of had my own club accidentally. And then so I was training there, but then the guy, after a couple of months, tried to put the rent up on us. He tried to like triple the rent, because he saw that we had a few numbers and stuff like that. So we're like, oh man, we can't do this, because we had to pay Jogo as well. He'd already organised like how much he was getting paid or whatever. I don't know if his immigration lawyer wants to hear that he was getting paid when he first came here or not, but we'll work that out later. And then far out, where was I? So then, Troy from Submission Factory, the owner of Submission Factory, he said, oh, well, Jogo can come and coach here, and I'll pay him that amount and all the rest of it. So then we all moved over to Submission Factory pretty much. So I was like training there, and then what was happening? So I was getting right into jiu-jitsu like nearly every day. Still going to wrestling sometimes, because I started going back there once I started going, oh, wrestling helps for jiu-jitsu. And then there was a guy there, Slade, who was doing MMA classes. And then I don't really remember what happened. I think I was helping Connell. I was helping Connell train for some MMA fights. Connell Sinclair is like a big, strong dude, pretty good stand-up fighter, and I was helping him with his grappling, because we were like, I was a good sort of size for him. And then because I was helping him with that, I ended up buying some shin pads and a bloody groin guard and a mouth guard, and I started doing some MMA stuff with him. And then I think he was preparing for a fight, and I think it was on one of Pond's. It was like the first time Pond Marty had put MMA on his show, and Connell was going to fight a guy who I still know today called Rody. And then Connell got injured, and then they asked me if I wanted to do it, and for some reason I was just like, yeah, I'll give it a crack. You know what I mean? I think the only thing that made me, because we didn't really know what we were doing in those days, the only thing that made me think that it was okay to do it was because I thought, oh, but if anything bad happens, I can just tap. That kind of got me past the, that mental sticking point of whether I should do it or not.
Yeah.
And I jumped in and I won that fight like, I don't know, I think in like 30 seconds or whatever. So I was just like, instantly like, I'm the greatest fighter that I've lived. And I was like, it's super addictive feeling, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's
confidence
like,
super high.
Yeah, it's just like, oh my God, I just did a freaking MMA fight and just won. And yeah, second fight I got my ass handed to me, but it was too late then, you know what I mean? The bug had already been planted.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a bit of a good background story for you.
That's awesome, man. That's sick. And then obviously from there, how many fights have you had? Like nearly 40 or something MMA fights?
Yeah, pro MMA, probably, I don't know exactly, but it's about 40, yeah. And I've had lots of other sort of random fights with random rules and kickboxing and boxing and all that sort of stuff as well. So yeah, done a few, but it's only because I've got a problem saying no.
Yeah. That's a lot of miles, man. That's a big career, hey. Like it seems like you've retired like 5 times now, and I always just see you pop up on a fight card like a few weeks later.
Every time I say I'm retired, it means I'm no longer looking for fights, but then they somehow find me, and then it's like I said, it's hard to say no to, especially when they're offering you money and travel and all the rest of it. You're just like, I'll just have one more, and then next minute. But it also does help keep you in shape. It's very hard to train without having something to train for.
Yeah, it's true. Like without a strong purpose and goal or an end date, it's very hard to stay motivated to just like put the work in, I guess.
Yeah, I can still train, but it's not going to be the same quality or level training and
you go through the motions a little bit, hey.
Yeah, stop abusing my body and stuff like that. Yeah.
And how's your gym going, man? Like good numbers and stuff, and it seems like you guys.
Unfortunately, it's a bad timing for this Corona thing. But just before this all hit, it was just absolutely pumping, and it was really literally every day I'll go in there. I was like, no, we did it. We really got a good time in gym. What could possibly go wrong?
Fuck yeah.
The boys are fighting. I mean, I swear to God, this year before we shut down the end of March, it was like every weekend was like a boxing show or a kickboxing show or a jiu-jitsu match or like MMA or something. It was literally like the guys were competing like crazy. Got a massive board at the gym of all the guys competing and it was just full. And then all of a sudden it's just like, pack it in.
Crazy how this seems so big nowadays. Like obviously didn't used to be like that, but nowadays it's like different jiu-jitsu comps and fight nights on every weekend. It's like never a spare weekend anymore.
Oh no, it's ridiculous. It's people. Yeah, it's good and it's bad. Like people start getting picky and choosy, going, "Oh, I might not go to this show. I might not go to this show." But back in the day, we were like, "Man, I wish there would be just a show of anything." I mean, there's always been a few Thai boxing shows and stuff like that, but MMA and stuff like that, we're definitely spoiled these days.
Yeah, man. I noticed it with jiu-jitsu a lot. Like back in the day, you just really had those sort of like state title type dealies, and that was really about it.
Yeah, and they'll do like maybe one for a while. It was like there'll be like one gi comp and one no gi comp, and then they might do one sort of more friendlier one, or they'll do one comp and then one state titles or something like that. Like it was, and it was fucking. You never get many matches either nowadays. Bloody the white belts get like they get like 8 matches or something like that. It's bloody unbelievable.
I suppose back in the day, it was like you would fight. Always out of your weight class too. You'd get matched with someone that was like either heavier or lighter, and you had one match, and it was so different. Hey, nowadays it's like even my students, I see like some of their brackets, man, like blue belts and shit, have huge brackets. Like middleweight blue belt, it's just like, especially with those round robin comps, man, like heaps of fights.
And they're super skilled as well. And the kids, don't even get me started on the kids. You watch the kids in the local comps, they're better. I swear to God, the kids are better than the black belts used to be like 10 years ago.
Yeah, man, legit. Hey, more skillful, more knowledgeable. It's crazy.
Oh, it's just nuts.
That evolution of the sport so rapid. Hey, in grappling, just like the information shared so fast nowadays, and just seeing like the level just jump every year. You know, even the purple belts now.
Did you watch the Submission Underground?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
That's unbelievable. Eh? It was a weird end to the match because they kept kind of just started talking about it. But yeah, so Craig Jones obviously broke Vinny Magalhães's leg. And,
Man, he was still trying to attack Craig's leg when his leg was broken.
Well, Vinny's famous for saying leg locks don't work, and I know most of it's tongue in cheek because he's won heaps of matches with leg locks, and he's probably been submitted by legs before. But almost controversially saying leg locks don't work, and then so obviously when you say that and it becomes part of your stigma, you don't want to tap unless you have to. It's also in the heat of the moment, he's probably trying to pull his leg out. There would have been heaps of tension on his leg, but if he felt like his knee was fine, he would have tried to rip it out. But then sometimes the bones just go, don't they? Oh.
Yeah,
but
because
I mean the bones are quick recovery, so it doesn't. If it's just a fracture, he'll be back in 6 weeks. But it's crazy that it happens. It's crazy how Craig Jones has just like risen so meteorically. I mean, he was at your gym when he first exploded, wasn't he? Like a year, maybe probably 2 years ago now.
I tried to get him on that Raw Rampage card that I did in 2016 before he before he went to EBI. Even I tried to get him across. He actually cancelled my show to go to the first EBI that he went to, and that's when he started blowing up.
Damn, that would have been cool.
Yeah, so I missed out on him for that. That would have been cool.
Oh well, you still had Buddy Kit Dale and Lachlan Giles on that show.
Yeah, he had some good people.
Should have been me. Should have been me as well, but I chickened out.
On the next one, man.
Yeah, it's still waiting.
Yeah, because I think Vinny, he's beaten Gordon Ryan, hey, and Gary Tonin. Like he's
one of the best guys in the world, and then for that to happen, it's just
man.
I don't know. You don't even know what you're watching.
Yeah, sometimes like with Craig, it's just like it seems like it's too easy for him. Like he just gets the leg and just goes through the motions and finds the heel, and it's over. Like it's just so clean, man. I just have a lot of trouble with it.
I mean, I can't imagine now people aren't respecting him enough. Like, surely they must know he's dangerous. But you know, it only takes a split second when you go in loose and then someone gets under you, and then it's too late. You can't get tight, and I don't know. It's just hard to explain. But yeah, it's definitely come a long way.
It's so different now. Like, do you see Lockie at ADCC just chopping through all those heavyweight Brazilians, and like with ease? Man, that's crazy. Like some of the best guys in the world, fully juiced up, massive Brazilians, just like rolling under their legs and just tapping them out, man. Like,
yeah, I couldn't even imagine what those guys would feel like as well. Like they'll just crush you and kill you.
Yeah, man. And those guys aren't going to tap unless you like seriously fuck them up. You know what I mean? So like, he must have the heel so clean to like make them want to tap.
Yeah. Yeah, they know they're in real danger. Yeah, so it's so good because, you know, they were just like a bunch of guys in Melbourne who just decided to kind of take it to the next level. It's not like there's any crazy secrets or anything like that. They just worked their butts off and got enough talented guys who had the same sort of goal together. It's easily done.
It's real eye-opening, hey, when you see that. Like, you think of all the top-level guys in the sport as like having some secret or being like special or different, but in reality, like it can happen to anyone as long as they put the work in and have a good bunch of guys around them to train with. Like,
another city kickboxing in Auckland's another example. They just, you know, I mean, obviously they've always been sort of up there in the kickboxing circles and stuff like that, but they're pretty much the best MMA gym in the world right now in New Zealand. You know what I mean? And then, you know, you talk to all the guys, and you try to sort of go, oh, what's going on over there that's so secret, blah blah blah. And it's just like, we'll there for each other, we'll push each other, we'll work hard. Everyone who walks through the door wants to be a champion. They're like, yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, man. It's like most MMA traditionally, I think most MMA fighters, you know, they're a bit selfish because they have to be. But when you get a bunch of them in a group that do want to help each other prepare and get good, that's when you sort of get a really good thing happening, hey?
Yeah, because you're not just, it's not just your motivation for that day. You rock up the gym and you might be flat, but you're not just doing it for you. And it does definitely make a huge difference, yeah.
Team picks you up, yeah. So with your sort of transition through MMA and obviously into the UFC and stuff, like, how was that whole journey? Obviously pretty stressful and shit, having to cut weight, and you flew to Germany first, is that right?
Yeah, the first fight I wasn't in a position to be taking any fights, but when the UFC calls, you just like, fuck it, I'll do it. And that was kind of like what I was thinking. I was like, man, at least I can look back and say I got in there. So, but yeah, I had to cut a lot of weight and stuff like that. Weird one though, because I did have that first fight and I got submitted, but I felt super loose and relaxed, and I was like, hey man, I could do this. But then when I did have that second fight in Melbourne, because I put so much into the training camp and such a big moment for me, and then I really did feel the pressure of it. You know what I mean? Like that octagon shock that they talk about. Because one of my attributes normally would be that I'm really like I don't get too stressed or too nervous when I fight, but I definitely did in that one.
Yeah, that arena must have been packed, hey, because it was the Rousey Holm card, right?
Yeah, it was. It was absolutely packed, but I didn't realize the gravity of that until I actually went up later and just had to walk around the stands, and then I was like, oh my god, this is freaking enormous. Even though it took you like 10 minutes to get to the walkout because you're like underground somewhere and they drive you in a golf cart to the walkout, so you knew it was big. It was more the moment was big because I went through it in my head a whole bunch of times, and I put so much into the preparation that as opposed to like going, oh my god, there's a lot of people here. I didn't really notice that.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's more about all you put into it and how you built it up in your head to be a big thing, and then
Yeah,
that's that sort
it's
of
like, oh, here it is. We're here now. Don't
yeah.
fuck this up.
What were you thinking like during the fight? Like, what goes through your head?
Oh, I don't know. I got tired. I was nervous. I couldn't kick in the first round. I got tired straight away. I had an opportunity to finish the fight in the first round and I couldn't. And then I was just like, I kept ruining that. You know what I mean? Instead of just like focusing on later in the fight. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
It was just a big head fuck. Normally, I'm just thinking about how not to get hurt, how not to get tired. But in that fight, it was like, oh no, I got to do more. I'm losing. I've got to do more. I've got to do better. I've got to be exciting. All right, just fucking clusterfuck. Like everything went out the window.
Yeah, man, it would have been crazy. Just like, just feeling that pressure and like being tired in that sort of moment would have been like something different altogether. I think like I haven't
It's a
fought MMA,
different
so I don't
kind.
know, but yeah, I can
Yeah,
imagine,
it's a
especially at
different
that
kind of
level.
time. When you've got all that adrenaline, you don't feel the fatigue for ages. But then when you do start feeling it, it's like the most horrible feeling in the world.
Yeah,
It's like your lungs are trying to strangle you.
fuck. It's always the thing with jiu-jitsu, like even if you get super tired, you're not going to get hurt. You know what I mean? Like you're pretty much, you're pretty okay.
No, and there's just heaps of places there you can rest. You know what I mean?
Yes.
There's
Yeah.
heaps of places in MMA you can rest as well, but it's not like complete rest. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? There's you still got to be sort of active, and then if you got a guy like the guy I fought that night, just push the pace, strong and fit. It's horrible.
Yeah.
5 minutes. Everyone always goes, "Oh, how's your fitness in your fight?" You're like, well, it depends how it goes.
Yeah. It's completely
Because
dependent.
there's some guys like 5 minutes is a long time. You can be the fittest guy in the world, you can still be absolutely stuffed in 5 minutes if you're not controlling the pace.
Yeah, 100%.
And there'd be a 2 minute circuit that could do most people, no matter how fit they are.
Yeah, what intensity are you going at and stuff like that? Hey.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and just getting to breathe and stuff.
Yeah. Getting out of your rhythm and shit. Hey.
Yeah,
You studied at uni. Hey, you did.
sports science and
Oh,
nutrition. Yeah,
yep. Yeah, cool. Do you find that helped you at all with your
basically.
training?
Not really. I feel like most of the real practical information I already had from just when I was like lifting and sort of studying my own exercise and nutrition. I guess it did help a lot, but probably not to the fact that I spent 3 years full time studying is probably, you know what I mean? I could have probably got more specific stuff out of that time, and it's quite expensive as well. But no, uni was a sick time for just like meeting people to get stuff done. I think that was the most I ever trained in my whole life when I was at uni.
You had like sort of the spare time and stuff. Hey.
Oh, totally, and the energy, and just like didn't really have to work much. You get like the Oz study or whatever it is. Just like train in the morning, go do some classes, train at lunchtime, do a bit more classes. And I was like, young, so it's just unlimited energy as well.
Recovering really quickly and stuff, and yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I never even knew what soreness was back then.
Yeah, so different. Hey, when you get a little bit older,
And we'd be drinking every Friday, Saturday as well, and then Monday you just go back to training.
and
Like
you
you
pull up
didn't even
sweet. Yeah.
notice. Yeah, didn't even notice. I didn't even. Yeah, I guess I couldn't afford to drink that much. That was probably the one saving grace.
And your brother Peter, obviously, he's competed in MMA a few times, right?
Yeah, he's actually had quite a lot of fights in kickboxing and MMA. He kind of flew under the radar a bit, but yeah, he's fought some tough guys. He fought Chris Lockteff, who was a 1FC heavyweight. He fought Charles August, who's a world kickboxing champion. He's fought at some of the big shows like CFC and stuff like that. So yeah, he did really quietly fly under the radar. But yeah, he just never took to it like I did. Especially, I think he never put himself in the condition to have success in those longer fights. You know what I mean? Because you do have to sort of do the cardio stuff. But yeah, he definitely fucking fought some of the top guys, and he had some good fights. A couple of really close losses to some good guys as well, and he beat a couple of decent guys. But yeah, and he's a pain in the ass to grapple with, that's for sure.
Yeah, man, I'm aware of that. It's a savage, eh?
Oh, it's just, everything you think you can do, and then you get a guy like him who's just like an expert at shutting stuff down, and then
Yeah.
you're like, oh, okay, cool. He doesn't even do much, but he just stops you from doing anything. And you slowly get overwhelmed with this wave. Honestly, I was watching bloody Big Ricky in the last comp, that the last SGT. Did you watch his matches?
I didn't see, no.
Oh, he was on fire. He was on the brown belt, the heavy brown belts. There was a few. There was Big James Wong from Mac One. He's a bloody monster. Jack McManus is a new brown belt, but he's really good. Like, he's just tricky and long and strong. And there's another guy, Werner Coetzee. And yeah, Ricky just smashed everyone. And I was like, fuck, I want Peter to actually get motivated. I want those two to have a no-gi match. I think it'd be a phenomenal match, those two.
That'd be sick, yeah. And does Petey train quite a lot still?
Yeah, I mean, he's actually really into the gi these days, which is a bit weird because I don't know. We've always done no gi. I think because he's got such strong grips, and maybe it's a little bit of slower pace, so it suits his cardiovascular capabilities. He's enjoying it, and yeah, he's actually helping a bit with the coaching and stuff as well with the gi guys. And he just likes I think he just loves just mauling white belts and blue belts, to be honest.
Killer. And you guys have quite a big a team now when you compete and stuff too, eh? Like, seeing more and more guys sort of come out of your gym at legit comps, at least.
Yeah, getting there. Most of them are poor asses that don't want to pay the money, but yeah, we definitely get more and more. We get some kids competing, which is awesome. We get some gay guys competing, gay guys competing. It's really, yeah, really, really cool.
How long have you had your gym
yeah,
now for?
I always, hey.
How long have you had your gym now for?
Oh, well, it's actually been 5 years since we had the original kick-ass in the boat place in Morley, which was like the tiny little one behind Bunnings, which is like a little war factory. But how it is now, it's been coming up a year and a half with the most recent expansion. So yeah, we're getting there, getting big.
Yeah, man, it looks really good. Hey, like, I've never actually been there, but I've seen like a fair bit of footage and photos and stuff. It looks killer, like the art on the wall and stuff, and the mats look really
you actually have to come check it out though, because like the pictures and the videos and stuff, they don't do it justice. It's quite a cool place. Like I'm here every day, so I don't always notice, but then every now and then I kind of stop and look around and I'm like, man, this place is cool. And then yeah, like I said, we're doing it around there now, so trying to make it even cooler. So it's pretty sick.
I definitely have to come check it out, man, for sure.
I definitely wish I had a gym like this when I was like back fit and strong and motivated and competing, you know what I mean? Because there's just so many like high level training partners and just facilities is ridiculous, and just have everything in one place. I used to travel around a lot for sparring and grappling and all the rest of it. Now the young guys, that they don't have to do all that, but they've never had it any other way, so they don't realize how lucky they are, you know what I mean? They just like rock up to the gym and it's all there for them, and they're just like, yeah, that's what training is. But I'm like, no, you guys don't understand.
Oh man, yeah, opportunities there now. Hey, for like just to get good, like all you got to focus on is your training. You don't have to worry about getting to 5 different gyms to get your different sparring partners in and stuff. Like,
yeah. And just things like, the amount of times that I'll be like, oh shit, yeah, grappling today, build myself up for it all day, maybe have a light morning session, and then I get to like grappling practice and it's just like no one's there. You know what I mean? Or like, you go sparring and then the guy calls you half an hour before going, oh yeah, sorry bro, I hurt my hand yesterday, not going to do any rounds today. And now it's just like, you got too many partners, you have to be selective.
yeah, man, I find that with our club as well. Like, remember back in the day, like some night classes you would get maybe half the class stay to roll after. A few of them would have a few rounds and they would leave, and you have a couple other training partners maybe. But now, like, even our classes, we have like 10 guys that without fail will stay for the whole like session just for solid like high paced rounds, and that's how you get good, man. Like,
100%. It's funny to people that don't, and then they'll spend 3 months training, and then they'll message you and be like, "Man, I don't feel like I'm getting better. Like, do you reckon I'm gonna get that purple belt? Like, what do you reckon I need to do?" And all the rest of it. You're like, well, I can give you some ideas, but
yeah, exactly.
It's pretty straightforward, isn't it?
At the end of the day, yeah, it's all just quality mat time. Hey.
Yeah.
We've seen heaps of improvement with our
And steroids.
yeah, that too. We've seen like heaps of improvement with two of our sessions, right? So we do like a comp session like twice a week. That's like high intensity. And since we started doing those sessions and pushing everyone, the like comp results has just gone through the roof. Like everyone's starting to medal all the time now and just getting heaps of submissions and shit. It's just like,
and then winning breeds winning, right? So people start winning medals, and then people start going, "Hey, we can win medals," and then they start. Yeah, it's just it's a snowball effect.
it is, man, big time. And like we do a lot of situational stuff too, and just seeing the benefit of that a lot. Like it's definitely paid off. What do you got sort of on the cards after this Corona shit?
Well, trying to pick up the pieces a little bit, get the group back together. I mean, it's just one of those things where the time, no pressure, state government, but the longer it goes for, the more we're going to be affected. And I know you're hemorrhaging money, so let us get back to business. I promise I'll wash my hands. No, yeah. So it's going to be literally like, if we're open in 4 weeks, it's going to be so much better than if we're open in 6 weeks. That's going to be so much better than if we're open in 8 weeks, and so on and so forth. So, I'm just doing a lot of sort of damage mitigation and sort of just a lot of just messaging people and just sort of keeping the community growing, and then just keeping the community going, not growing. It's not fucking growing. Then just business as usual when it gets back, and then I think with every sort of down surge in anything, there's always like that upsurge. So I'm just gonna be ready for that upsurge, and hopefully there's going to be a lot of promoters who want their first show back after the coronavirus to be a big one, and a lot of the guys who maybe been training intermittently will be like, man, once the gym was taken away, I realized how much I wanted to train and how important it is. And, so I'll get that sort of resurgence in effort and attendance. And then, like the jiu-jitsu comps, guys will be like, guys like yourself, you'll be like, man, I've been putting off doing that 16-man, but fuck it, like we just had that opportunity to take away from us. Let's just do it and see what happens. You know what I mean? Like it'll stop a lot of the stagnation, I think, that'll happen. You know what I mean? Because we realize like, I think everyone's going to realize that we take a lot of the stuff for granted that we have.
Yeah, I think so too. Like there's going to be that big uptick out of the down because no one can train at the moment. So as soon as they're allowed to train again, the gym's going to be packed. So that's probably the good side of it.
Yeah, I think so. I think the gym, the nightclubs will probably be packed as well. Hopefully the gym's open a little bit before the nightclub so we can get the younger boys back into a routine before they just go mental again. Definitely. And then, I don't know, just keep doing what I'm doing. I'm having a war with obesity at the moment because of this coronavirus stuff. So that's been hard, It's like I'm all right if I'm doing something, but if I'm at home, I just snack because I'm bored.
Man, that's pretty much the same as anyone, I think. Hey, like, you get that free time on your hands, you get bored, and you start just, I don't know, eating and fucking watching Netflix and just chilling. And before you know it, man, you stack the kegs on. Hey.
Yeah, and candy's like any other drugs. You seem to increase your tolerance to it the more that you have it, so the more that you need to get your fix.
Yeah, man, big time. It's going to be interesting to see who like put work in during this time and who just didn't. I think most people wouldn't have. They would have just like gotten bigger, but some people will use the time to just like get fitter and stronger, and there'll be a big difference on that, I think.
I hate those people with a passion. And Floyd, one of the boxing coaches, he's still training 11 times a day. It's ridiculous. He's like riding a bike 60 Ks and running and hitting his water bag in his garage. And he's just insane. Like, I don't know, some people have just got that inbuilt motivation,
Yeah, man, it helps a lot, I reckon. Like, it's going to be interesting to see like the first couple of jits comps back and see like, the guys that have gotten good, in this time, and the guys that have sort of gotten rusty, and what that sort of does to the brackets and stuff, be interesting.
Well, I've just been training secretly so I can beat Ian, and it's going to happen one of these days.
Man, that dude's a handful, hey? I've seen some of his comps, and just like the way he like takes people down so easily. He's got like 3 knees, man, just like triangles people from anywhere. Like,
yeah, I'm literally like every time I've got to match with him, I've had like a different game plan. I'm like, oh no, this time we're going to try this. And like every time it's just got absolutely mauled. So I'm just like, well, slowly statistically, if I just keep like wrestling him, like I'll just beat him eventually. But no, probably not. He definitely makes one of those guys that makes me feel like I'm a long way from where I'd like to be.
Yeah, it's interesting. Hey, like, you get guys like that, but then if you take it to like the MMA, it changes shit so much. Hey, like, because obviously you're like that, but in MMA, you know what I mean? So if you get guys that
Yeah,
you're like competitive with in jiu-jitsu, but you make them, you know, allowed to throw strikes on the ground, it would change everything. And like
yeah,
same as
but
like
he's not an MMA guy. You know what I mean? So
exactly,
it's you know,
yeah,
yeah, pointless. But I want to be better than him at jiu-jitsu, not MMA.
yeah, that's a good attitude. I mean, if you can do that, then fuck, man, like,
Yeah.
yeah. What do you sort of think the plans for the gym are in the future? Like obviously beyond all this corona shit and all that, what are you going to try and do? Build it up as big as it can be, or open multiple locations, or you have big aspirations for that sort of stuff, or not
No,
really?
I don't. I believe that there is a. I mean, it's already probably bigger than I planned it to be. We had some weird things happen that are just sort of like forced it to be bigger. I don't know. It's complicated, but yeah, I definitely feel like there's a finite pie of the MMA slash martial arts scene. Everyone can have a slice of said pie. If anyone tries to have too much of said pie, it throws off the balance and ruins things for everything. I've already probably got too many MMA fighters to consistently match, and I don't feel like we're a huge gym in that regard. There's more. There's not enough actual MMA gyms producing fighters, and there's not enough MMA shows, even though
Yeah,
there's a lot of gyms, you know what I mean? So from that standpoint, it's already getting to that point where it's just like, man, if we get too many guys, I mean, what are we going to have the boys fight each other? You know what I mean? Like it does get quite challenging in that regard. When it because I don't promote when it comes to getting matchups with the boys, a lot of the time I just gotta like say yes to every available matchup. You know what I mean? Just because
yeah,
I can't be picky and choosy because there's just not that many opponents out there. You know what I mean? So um, what I'd like to see. I mean, the gym. I don't want to grow it. I just want to just improve the quality, improve the output, improve the vibe, keep it going how it is. It's fantastic. But I would like to just help the industry grow, not for my, not trying to like make money out of it. I don't want to. I don't want to like be a promoter or anything like that. I just want a bigger industry so there's more opportunities and make the pie bigger.
yeah. Perth's always been sort of on the smaller side, hey, compared to I guess you know like Melbourne or something like that.
Oh, it's absolutely insane what it's like over in Melbourne. And that's, man, a lot of promoters over there could be doing a lot better, and but they don't need to be. You know what I mean? What they've been doing over here, promotion wise, they've been doing a really, really good job in delivering a standard. But man, it's hard to get the bums in the seats over here like it is over there. Like it's a different world. Even just the casual knowledge of like the MMA fans over there and stuff. It's just a bigger deal. It's way more of a fight town. It actually sickens me that Melbourne is more of a fight town than Perth.
Yeah, you get recognised a lot more over there and stuff, hey, as well.
Oh, way more, way more.
Yeah,
Like I wouldn't get recognized over here in a million years. Oh, if I'm standing at the door of a nightclub, you might get like one guy per night, and most of the time that'll be like someone who trains. You know what I mean? Like they'll train at a gym, so they'll be like, "Oh, you're the guy that fought." But over there, it's just like there's just people just know. People just know the fights. Like you don't have to be a current UFC fighter over there. If you fought on the shows like Hex and AFC, it's like a deal. You know what I mean? It's like in Melbourne, if you're a buddy, if you play football for Victoria, not for Victoria, but like in the Victorian football league, the VFL, like that's that's a substantial thing, and you can make good money doing that. They just have tiers of sporting that's just better, and there's more money there.
more opportunity, big
I don't know.
population.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and same with jiu-jitsu.
yeah, big time. Yeah,
For years, if we wanted to get good matches, we'd have to like fly and go over to the Pan Packs and bloody, you know, that was a fortune. That was elimination as well. So a lot of guys would pay for the flights and the really expensive entry fee, and then they get like a match in their weight division, and they didn't want to go in the absolutes or something. It's fucking insane.
it's like that though. How you fly over and then you get stalled out on and you lose your first match or something, and it's like fuck, I just flew all this way. Like you know,
Yeah.
more motivation to
Freaking,
win the matches for sure.
oh, totally. But it's just like that was the only option because otherwise, like you said, it was like if you competed over here, it would just be like that same one or two guys every single time.
Yeah. With your students, do you sort of look at interstate matchups and stuff, MMA, or not really?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Like, there's already like maybe 5 or 6 guys that there'll be no one in Perth for them to fight. And that doesn't mean that they're like world beaters. It just means that there's just a really small talent pool of MMA fighters. Plus, guys like there might be a guy from Ben Vicker's gym or a guy from, say, Romel's gym who's doing Romel Lewistro. Just changed the name of his gym to Lewistro Combat Sports Academy, maybe. I can't remember the exact name, but going out on his own, which is cool, separating from the South City boxing gym. He's doing really well producing fighters, so I'll just give him a mention. But they fight once and then what? You know what I mean? Like the WA Muay Thai, they often have like a lot of rematches. You know what I mean? Some of the top guys have fought like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah,
because they're the top guys of the weight class, and it's sort of that's sort of an option. But if I've got a young boy and Romel's got a young boy, for example, there's one guy Quillen he's got, and I've got a young boy Charlie, and they already fought. They might fight again, but you wouldn't want them to fight again at least for a year, say. You know what I mean? And then who else is there? You know what I mean? There's just very little
see why a lot of guys would probably look at dropping out of the sport too if they get to that point where they're not getting matchups, they're trying to train, trying to get better, and it's just not happening for them. It's like, yeah.
I mean, there is matchups there. It's just you've just got to work for it, and you've got to be flexible, and you can't cherry pick the matchups.
Yeah.
But it's doable. It'd be really cool to get something going that was more of a proper entry level amateur thing, like what Habby used to do with the C-class shooter. I don't know if you remember that.
I do, yeah. That was really good. Why did he stop that? Do you know?
I don't know. Probably, if people don't support things like that, it just gets too hard. You know what I mean? If you're running around doing all that organising and stuff like that, and then you're left with a bill at the end, it leaves a pretty sour taste in your mouth. You know what I mean? And then you get people complaining about the referees and the judges, and you have to pay commission fees and all the rest of it. It might have just been not worth his time, or maybe he just didn't want to put the effort in, so it just means someone else. He did it for a few years. It shouldn't be onus just on him to do all the grassroots amateur MMA. You know what I mean? WA boxing, there's like a big group of people that sort of shoulder the responsibility for it. So that would be, you remember the C-class shooter, and then you see something like Eternal MMA. Obviously, C-class shooting is a lot less daunting for an entry-level guy, right? So,
100%.
like, if you were just sort of doing a bit of jiu-jitsu, doing a bit of boxing, you go, I wouldn't mind trying MMA, and then you look at, like, say, the Eternal, the big stage, the cage, and all the rest of it, you'd be shitting yourself, right? But you can see yourself doing something like a C-class shooter.
Yeah, exactly. It's definitely cleaner bridge.
Yeah, and that's what we need, guys to dip the toe in the water, and they can choose the rule sets where they might not have strikes on the ground for the first one. They might wear headgear and so on and so forth, and then the same day weigh-ins stops the I see guys that are like having their first amateur fight, but they're like professional weight cutters already, and they're cutting from 77 down to 70. So, good job, buddy. Good job, buddy. You won an amateur fight. Short of your life already, but good job.
I know what you mean. Yeah, there's nothing really like that at the moment, is there, for Perth? I mean, had a few of those sparring days and stuff, but it's not really the same sort of thing. Like, there's no real action.
No, sparring days are absolutely fantastic, and then there just needs to be you don't want to go from a sparring day to like fighting on Eternal.
No.
You want to have the middle ground. So I usually I'll try and encourage my guys to do amateur boxing, amateur kickboxing, and it's a good bridge because then they've had a fight. And then unfortunately that makes them harder to match up because they go, he's fought kickboxing, he must be a kickboxer. It's like, well, no, he's definitely not a kickboxer. He just figured it would be better to get hit with big gloves before he got hit with small gloves.
Yeah, it's always like that. Hey, like even when I thought about doing MMA, I think I was like a purple belt, and even then, I think it would have been hard to get good matchups. And especially now, if I decided to jump in, like people go, "Oh, you're a black belt. I'm not going to match up with you." It's just making it too hard. Even though in reality, MMA, I'm no one. I'm nothing. You know what I mean? But it's just
I've got a guy, Jamie Hunt, and he's brown belt jiu-jitsu. He's been training jiu-jitsu for a long time, and he's had Muay Thai fights. He's had Muay Thai fights because he was a jiu-jitsu guy who wanted to get some confidence in his stand-up. I don't think he's won any Muay Thai fights. But then all of a sudden, I had this guy who, like, people are acting like he's fucking Bentleys Silva, trying to get him a matchup, and they want to fly this, guy from over east and all the rest of it. I'm just like, man, he's literally like he just won his first MMA fight, but it's like it's really, really unfair. But I mean, I know it's hard, isn't it though? Because he's a brown belt and he's had a couple of Muay Thai fights, you know, and then you might have another kid who's literally 0-0 in MMA who's not had any experience. So that might be an unfair matchup. But then, I'm not criticizing the matchmakers here because the matchmaking sucks. But it's
Hard job, yeah.
It's hard. That's why I try to get the guys fighting early as well. You know what I mean? Because it's much better to be a white belt with 2 fights than a brown belt with no fights if you want to get matchups.
That's true, yeah. It's interesting, man. Like just, it's kind of like a quick path to the big shows if you really wanted to push yourself, like in terms of matchups and stuff. It wouldn't be too hard to go pro if you get a couple of wins under your belt and stuff, hey, in Australia?
Oh, no, you can go pro with no amateur fights if you want to. Going pro is just a choice. And it doesn't necessarily mean you're a professional, you don't have to work. Normally, though, West Australia is a little bit different, but normally you just can't go backwards. So when you decide, I'm going to go professional, then all your wins and losses subtract. So if you lose as a professional, you've got that one loss on your record. You can't ever take it away. You know what I mean? Alex Volkanovski has a loss to Corey Delso's record from like 8 years ago, but it's still there and it'll never go away. So amateurs are a good way to get some losses out. Also, when you're inexperienced and you fight 3 5-minute rounds with elbows, is a lot more likely to get something can go wrong. You know what I mean? So you want to protect the guys a little bit longer. But yeah, choosing to go professional is it's just a non-issue. You can just do it whenever you want.
In your opinion, what do you think like most guys should do before they turn pro? Like, is there a sort of criteria of matches you'd get them to have, or?
Yeah, but it's totally dependent on the individual. Like, I've got kids who've had like 3 amateur fights, and I'm just like, man, you should go pro. You're a beast. You know what I mean? Zach Platt, if you're listening, go pro. There's other kids who I'm like, man, they're so ready, but there's just one aspect that they need to work on. Other ones, yeah, maybe if they're part-timers, hobbyists, you know what I mean? There's really no reason, for them to. It's not like you're talking about big money, you know what I mean? You might turn pro and then make $500.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Which is like sort of pays for your supplements and your bandages, strapping tape for your training camp. You know what I mean? It's nothing worth taking the risk for. So unless you like really want to do it as a career, you can get just as much like sort of notoriety and respect and badassness and pride juices flowing from competing as an amateur. So yeah,
it's an interesting point. Like the guys that are really trying to make it, I guess it makes sense, but anyone else, there's no reason to really go pro. Hey, just stay amateur.
Not when there's like really cool high level amateur shows. I mean, there's like amateur world titles. You know what I mean? Like there's heaps of opportunities to compete, and like there's heaps of cool jiu-jitsu comps. They can go to wrestling comps. They can go amateur boxing and go amateur kickboxing. Things like amateur boxing, they can go to the Olympics as an amateur boxer, but if they compete in pro MMA, it becomes hard for them to compete as an amateur boxer.
Yeah. Makes it tougher, yeah. Where are you at with boxing? Like, have you, I suppose, retired from boxing, or are you sort of open?
I've never been a boxer. I'm just boxing is just like a really nice, easy way to make a little bit of a payday. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I always spar boxing. I always train boxing. I do enjoy it, but I couldn't do like a full camp of just boxing because I don't have the mental strength to just run every day and hit bags every day and just do the boxing stuff every day. You know what I mean? I couldn't do it. Boxers are some of the most mentally strong people I know. You know what I mean? I need the variety that MMA brings to keep myself motivated. Plus, I really love boxing, but I fucking really love MMA. You know what I mean? So it gives me that extra something that I need to push through a camp. Yeah, no, I just enjoy boxing as a hobby. I'm a journeyman, as they would say.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. Yeah. Well, anyway, man, it's been awesome having you on. Hey, I really appreciate you giving your time and stuff and coming on. It's been good.
That's all right. I've got nothing but time these days.
That's true, man. That's true. Yeah. Well, anyway, I'll chat to you soon, man. Thanks again.